issues.
Okay.
Okay, but the first question is just to introduce yourself, like say who you guys are.
Do you want to go first? I don't know.
Start. Yeah.
You can go if you want. Oh,
I'm Mira. Yeah. I'm 17 and then I'm from New York City.
it's good to meet you. I'm Aya. I'm almost 17, like a few months, and I'll become 17. And I'm from Syria, Latakia.
So just like talk a little bit about your upbringing, from where you're from. What was your house like? Who was there, like visiting or stuff like that?
Okay. You can go, Mira, if you want, if you have anything to
Sure.
say.
It's not that interesting because I've literally I've lived in the same apartment in the same building for like all of my life.
Same here.
And I've always lived in New York City. Yeah. And I live with my mom and my dad, and then I have a sister, but she's 23. So I'm basically an only child, but I'm not an only child, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Well, for me, I like my family originally comes from the coastal mountains here in Syria, but like my grandpa moved to the city a very long time ago, like before he even got married to my grandma. So I'm actually a neighbor, like my grandparents are my neighbors. We live in the same building. And yeah, and like they are literally next door. So yeah, I've always lived in like this family atmosphere. I'm the oldest child of 4. I have 2 younger sisters and a brother. And yeah.
Wait, that's so lucky that your grandparents live right next to you. I'm so jealous. My grandparents, my one grandma lives near me, but my dad's parents live in Australia. So
oh, Australia is amazing.
Yeah.
Aren't your parents not American, Mira?
No, both of my parents, like my entire family is from South Africa. I should have totally mentioned that. Thank you, Ariel. So I'm like my sister and I are the only Americans in my family, but no one lives in South Africa. So all my family's like in Australia mainly.
Yeah, so the next question is to talk about any communities that you felt a part of growing up. Either one of you can start. It doesn't really matter who starts.
I'm okay with like whatever you want. Mira, you can go if you want. I'm okay with anything.
Yeah. Sure. I guess like the communities I've been a part of are like obviously the Jewish community. But like for me, there are like several Jewish communities because like my school is like its own Jewish community, I guess, because like everyone like practices differently, but it's like a school community.
Maybe she doesn't. I don't know if you know Aya, but we go to Heschel together, which is it's like a Jewish school, so we learn about Judaism with each other. So everyone there is Jewish.
Oh, sorry, I did not know if you didn't know that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the community she's referring to.
I didn't. Oh, thank you for letting me know.
Yeah. Okay. And then I have like my synagogue is like another really big community for me because like everyone there is like somewhat like-minded, or everyone is like there by choice on the weekend. And then I guess like I would call New York its own community because I think it kind of is. Yeah.
Well, for me, like I'm like personally, I'm not like super religious, and but my family comes like from some. There's a part of how can I say it? Like different people in different communities within the Islam itself. So we are called Alawites. We don't wear hijab, and we are somehow like between Christianity and Islam, somewhere in between, and. Yeah, we're not like the family at all as a whole is not like all super religious. Anyone has the right to choose the path that they want for themselves. So yeah, And other communities art, like my other communities are all just like scientific things or SYE related stuff, if Ariel told you about it. Like I'm trying to study abroad, so I'm focusing my work in there rather than in religious communities, yes. But of course, like I respect everyone regardless. Definitely, of course, and I do this. And yeah,
Yeah,
this is,
I want to study abroad.
yeah.
just for some context, abroad for Aya means in the US. So it's like,
Oh, okay, got it.
so she's trying to come, and that's what SYE does. And so when she said like she's focusing on her SYE and like studying abroad, that's what I'm also doing over the summer. You know, like that's the other internship that I've been working on.
Got it.
That's how I met Aya. So the next question is just plain and simply, did you have a happy childhood and why or why not?
There's a few other countries as well. Oh, sorry.
Oh, really?
Can I go first? Like I have a lot to talk like when it comes to this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I won't say like it was the perfect childhood. Like, you know, I think you've heard about there's like always wars in the Middle East, but Syria has been going through a lot. Like I was 5 years old when the local war local war started here. So like where I live is safe. Actually, it is safe, and we didn't experience as much as people in different cities in Syria did. But like, you know, you're always scared, like what will happen here, what will happen here, and the consequences of the war, like when it comes to economy, for example, everything became so expensive. So I'm not sure how to describe it. Like it was happy. Oh, okay. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah,
Okay, sorry. The internet in Syria isn't that great.
you're good.
Okay, so what was the last part that you heard? If I can go over things.
Everything being expensive because of the war.
Yeah, so I'm not sure like how to describe my childhood, like the way it was. It was happy, like my family is loving, and they always take care, like good care of us. But when it comes to the place that we live in, it was not perfect.
Yeah. Wow. I guess I have like a really plain answer because I think I had a relatively happy childhood. Why? I guess because like no, my parents always were able to like provide me with really cool experiences and opportunities that let me to learn a lot more and have a lot of fun. And I grew up around a community with a lot of great people. And I really, really love the school that I go to, that I've been going to for like my whole life. So I would say I had a really happy childhood. Not that it's perfect because nothing ever is, but I would say I had a pretty happy childhood.
Yeah, thanks for that. The next question is, what were you like in school when you were younger? Like, how would your friends have described you, and how would your parents have described you?
Do you want to go, Mira?
Sure. I guess how I was in school when I was younger is kind of the same of how I am now in school. I really, I wouldn't say like I love school, but I really like learning. And so I'm always like the person, like when I was younger, I was always like the person who was always raising their hand, which is still super true. Ariel could totally attest to that. And I guess my parents would probably say that I was always like an eager beaver is like, I think that's the term, like when you're always wanting to do more or like always trying to do something. Like I like to do 30,000 things at once. And I guess when I was little, that was like the same thing. Like I used to like to read a lot. Now I hate reading, but I used to like read all the time. Um, and I liked school a lot, which like I guess now I don't like it as much as I used to, but I guess if you were to ask like my parents or my friends, they would say that I really like school and I'm like always going, like my brain never stops going.
That's so cool. For me, the story is quite fun, actually. So I was the oldest child, as I told you, at our house, So I never really got to see like older siblings going to school and being happy. So I was always like, I was very attached, let's say, to my parents, and I always wanted to stick around them. So I would cry every day before going to school. And this lasted actually until like third grade, I guess. And then like my teacher was like, hey, I can give you candy if you stop crying. And yeah, since then my personality has changed like completely. I became a new person, and I became the kid who like not asking. I raised my hand a lot, but I was the one. When your classmates are way too shy to ask the teacher, like the kid they'll ask will be me. Who studies the most and has, how can I say, like I loved learning as well. So I tried to depend on like other things than the school's curriculum and go over a lot of things. So my classmates once I had it. So
That's great. And so that sort of answered the next question was going to be, did or do you like school? So that sort of answers that one. I think you both do like school a lot. Do you the next questions, these next two questions are a little bit weird. They're, do you believe in UFOs and do you believe in an afterlife? So either one of you guys can.
um, like the call stopped for a little bit. Like, can you say this again? I couldn't hear
Oh,
you.
yeah, sorry. So the first question is, do you believe in UFOs, like alien ships? And the second question is, do you believe in an afterlife?
Can I what do you think? Um, um, for aliens, of course, like not specifically the way that we think aliens exist. Isn't this a question? I'm not sure if I got it right.
No, that is the question. So you're breaking up a little bit, so it's hard to
The
hear.
quality here of the internet is so bad.
Yeah.
I believe that the universe is way too big. Like it of course, it is so big. Like we can. I'm not sure what the question was. I'm telling Mira, you can go first, like just to make sure of what's happening because I'm lost.
Sure. Okay. I think there's probably UFOs, like aliens, um, but not anywhere near like the Earth. Like I don't think we'd ever see them. But like if you like think about like the galaxy, like in general, um, like we're like this tiny fraction of like the entire universe and all of the galaxies in the world. There has to be something else out there beyond us because we're like this tiny thing. And there's no way that there's like 1,000 times that, more than 1,000 million times that, and there's just nothing there. So I believe that there are aliens. And as for the afterlife, um I guess I try not to think about it too much because I don't like thinking about that. um I'd like to think that there is an afterlife, in that like people are always like looking out over you, like that people become like your guardian angels kind of. um but do I believe that there's like this, like, I don't know if you ever like, no, I don't think The Good Place is a show in I don't know if you've ever seen The Good Place, but that's like a show about people in the afterlife. But I don't think it's like that really. And I don't think there's like someone who just like stands there saying you're going to heaven and you're going to hell. But I do think there is something there.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So, how is the quality now? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, much better.
Okay. Yeah, it like this is because of the electricity. Um, so for aliens first, I like as you said, Mira. I believe that we are. as my teacher described it, like look at your hand, like not just your hand, like your whole arm from your shoulders to your hand, and imagine call it like sand consists of things that I forgot what was called in English, like a tiny bit of sand at the top of your finger, and you're looking from your shoulder, and like just imagine how big it will be. Like there's a lot of space, and we are this tiny in this universe, and we haven't like how can I say it? Humans didn't are not like I'm not sure how to say it, but like we haven't existed in this universe from a long time. The Earth is so old. Like just think, like this is only our planet, and it is not that old. Scientists are always like exploring new things every day and making a lot of progress on everything when it comes to astronomy. So we can never be sure, I guess. But of course. I believe that other creatures do exist. And for the afterlife, I like to take it from a scientific perspective. Like our, how can I say it? Like our nervous system works from electricity, as you know. So when we die, I'd like to think that, let's say, so when we die, for example, this that wow, maybe this could be so cool, working, making my body work, end up in a nebula, for example. And this is the view that I have from the afterlife. Like we are doesn't just disappear, it transforms. We will exist forever, but let's say in a different form, like not specifically as a human.
Oh, like you think technology will allow us to live forever because of what we've created?
No, not exactly. Like like I was trying to say that our nervous system works because of electricity. And when we die, we go like in the bottom of the earth, and this may end up like in different places in the world, maybe in a plant, and maybe in another creature that is created in the world, or in the air, or in the space, in anywhere. So the like the we have a lot of places to end up at. Like I don't like to put any limit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's so
Like humans aren't the only thing that can be in the afterlife. There's
right.
a lot of things complicated, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, the next question is, if you could spend more time doing one thing, what would that be? Like, what was one thing you wish you spent more time doing, in other words?
probably like being with my friends and not worrying, because I'm someone who's like always worrying or always thinking about the next thing. And so like with school and everything, there's often times where like I could like put off doing work and I could just like be with my friends and be more carefree. And I guess I wish I spent more time doing that. But at the same time, I always like say that like I'll thank myself in a while for not doing that, I guess.
Well, for me, I kind of regret not being super aware of my mental being. Like mental health isn't like a thing that is very discussed here in Syria. Our parents didn't really care about this, or grandparents as well. So I hope that in the future I will be like more aware of myself and my mental health and avoid things that happen. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, thanks for that. Um, so the next one is, have you ever been in love with anyone or anything, whatever it is? It can be as like basic as like a stuffed animal or whatever.
I can go maybe. My thoughts are weird, but I'm excited to share them.
Yeah.
I love labs. I love labs. Like the first time that I went in a laboratory was in elementary school. My grandpa was like a principal at a school. And back then, before the war, there were like very good lab schools in the local ones here. Like hearts were just so happy that I got to go to a laboratory. So yeah, I love to experiment and I love to do my work with my hands, if I must say.
Mhm.
I know it's weird and different, maybe, but yeah, I absolutely love working in the scientific research field.
That's really unique. I like that answer. I wouldn't have thought of something like that.
Yeah, I don't think I have such a great answer because if for have I ever been in love like, with anything at all, I guess probably not in like the traditional way. If you're like talking about stuffed animals, like I used to like love a lot of stuffed animals so much that I like wouldn't give them up. Because I used to have like a collection of bears from my grandparents that I used to have and I used to sleep with. So would always feel like they were like with me. And then like when my sister went to college, she brought me a bear from school that like sits with them. And I used to love them so much that I couldn't sleep without them and I wanted to get rid of them. So I now sleep with a blindfold and I'm
Ah.
my blindfold. Like I have one in every color, every animal pattern, and it's like the most ridiculous thing, but I love my blindfolds. But
No, it's
I haven't really ever.
you.
So the next question is, has anyone saved your life ever?
Well, for me, it was my dad. Like I lived by the sea, by the Mediterranean Sea, but I do not know how to swim. So I was going like I was following my friends, and I forgot that I know how to. I didn't know how to swim, and they did. So I was just walking, and like there suddenly was no sand, and my feet were no longer like touching the ground. And my dad was the one that noticed that I was drowning and ended up pulling me out of the sea and onto the sand. And I don't think I ever like went this deep in the sea like since that time.
Wow, that's terrifying.
It is, yeah.
I don't know if my answer would be as literal, although, okay, you're probably going to think this is crazy, and it is crazy. I am horrified of pigeons. Okay. I don't go near them like ever since I was little. I don't know if they have a lot of pigeons in Syria, but if you know what a pigeon is, they're disgusting. And I've been like terrified of them since I was like really little. And I actually went to bird therapy, but like this is why. Basically, one time I was walking with my dad and there were so many pigeons. I actually ended up running into the middle of Columbus Avenue and I was about to get hit by a car because I ran into the street. And so my dad quickly ran in and told the guy who was driving to like quickly stop on the brake. And he was like maybe 2 feet away from me when he like finally came to a stop. And my dad quickly yanked me out of the street because I had run in to avoid the pigeons.
Oh wow.
That's also terrifying. Have you ever saved a life? This is like hard, like most people haven't, but if it's even been like an animal or anything like that.
I actually have never like I have never actually like saved a life. But I helped a friend go through like a hard time. That she actually like ninth grade here is a very very big deal. Like the final results of the exams in ninth grade, like it is very important here, and it is like your acceptance in high school depends on your grade in there. So my friend had to move from Latakia to Damascus to a completely new environment in Syria and different people in ninth grade. So I never left her. Like I was always supporting her remotely, and I tried my best to offer the best mental support that I could. And yeah, she got great results. But I'm not sure if this one counts.
But yeah, that's a great
Okay.
answer for that's like exactly what I was looking for actually.
I guess I have a bit more of a literal answer. That's a bit more like sad. I have, well, I had a really good friend who basically told me that he had tried to kill himself about 5 times, and he had gone to the hospital and nobody knew. He was supposed to go away with me on a trip, and he had planned to kill himself on this trip. And his mom didn't know, and nobody knew, and he like told me, and he was like, don't tell anybody. And he didn't want me to tell anybody because he didn't want anyone else to know, because then he wouldn't be able to kill himself. And I ended up telling another adult at my school, who ended up contacting the person who was going to be taking us on this trip, who had told his mom. And after that, he ended up coming on the trip, but was not able to ever like be alone. And he is alive now. He doesn't talk to me anymore because I told someone that he was going to kill himself, but he is alive to this day.
Was it a school trip? That
It was a BJ trip.
Oh, wow. Suicidal thoughts are like really hard to deal with. What you did was great.
Thank you.
I've never been in that situation, and I don't know what I would do if I was, but that seems like the right thing. So we only have 10 more minutes, so we'll wrap it up. But have you ever lost someone? The next question is, have you ever lost someone that you really love? It could be like a grandfather or anything like that.
I did. Yeah, I did. My uncle, my mother's brother. I think, did I tell you about him in our interview before?
I think a little bit.
Yeah, so he was basically like my mom is the oldest child also like for her parents. So he was the uncle like right after my mom. So he was basically participating in raising me. I'm the oldest granddaughter and I spent a lot of time with him. So I really really liked him. He was not married and he was like I was all he cared about. So when the war started here, he had to go to the military, and yeah, he passed away during a mission and in 2012, and it has been difficult, but like he had a daughter before he passed away, and I love her with all of my heart now, so I think it makes it up to it just a little bit. Yeah.
So I guess maybe fortunately, but this is kind of sad. I've never lost like anybody, I guess, who was super important to me. My grandpa died, but I feel bad saying that he wasn't actually all that important to me, because he wasn't like the best dad to my mom. And he lived in Israel and he had gotten remarried and had like his own new family. So I guess I've never thankfully lost somebody that meant a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm glad to hear that.
That's a really sad story, but it's sweet with what you're doing with his daughter now. It's really sweet.
Yeah, she's very smart. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you believe in a god or gods? I guess you guys won't believe in gods, obviously, but do you believe in a god?
Here you can go. I've been going like first for a long
Sure.
time. So
This is
you
like
can
one of the
take it.
hardest questions, because I guess I go to a school where like we learn all about God. And I practice Judaism. I'm not like religious, but I'm more religious than like some people. But like I don't believe in like the Torah or really, or like the God that like can do. Like there's this holiday called Yom Kippur where basically you fast for a day, and it's the day where God decides whether you'll be in the book of life or the book of death. And like I don't believe in God, because I don't believe that somebody could predetermine like a year in advance how these horrific things would happen to people. Like, I don't believe that there is a God that chooses people's destiny, because I don't like to think that there is a God that would intentionally inflict suffering on people.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
God is kind of used as like a concept to kind of like hope for things to get better. And I like believe in using that idea, but I don't believe in the conventional God, because I can't even bring myself to think that someone would like predict all of these horrible things that people go through.
Well, for me, I don't like the idea of people, like, let's say religious in general, of people thinking that God is like a person or like something that your brain can recognize, for example. Um, so I believe that regardless if they're to people and never, whether there's a God or not, like this is a human nature. You don't really have to think twice to do this. So whether there's a God or not, be good. And in case like anything happened, like if it turned out that there's a God or there isn't a God, you've had like a peaceful life and you were good to people and you will like rest in peace. I guess this is the most important thing to me.
Yeah.
So
So we have 5 more minutes for these last two questions, but so it's a shame. Like these are good questions. So the first one is, in your opinion, what are the most important things in life?
I guess,
do you want to go, Mira?
sure. The most
Sorry.
important things in life for me are, I guess, finding happiness, and treating other people with respect and respecting yourself. And I guess love, like, loving yourself, loving others, loving the world, and finding ways to express that love, loving what you do. And
Yeah, for me, it is like first of all, like having a good health, and like if you're not like if you have a bad health, if you're sick, you wouldn't be able to live. So this is the most important thing, and like the second most important thing is to be able to express yourself and living like to be free and not obligated to follow anyone or anything. Yeah, this is the most important thing to me. Independence, if we call it.
Yeah. Um, and the last question of this Zoom is, what are your hopes and wishes for the future? Pretty broad, but
Do you want to come here?
sure. Well, I hope to go to college. And I don't really know exactly what it is I want to do with my life. But I hope to kind of figure that out and find something that challenges me, but also something that I love, where working hard and like the sacrifice of it feels worth it. And I hope to one day fall in love and get married and have a family of my own. And I hope to live in New York for a long time, but I also hope to, I don't know, maybe venture off into other cool cities in New York. But I hope to never, ever after college live in a non-city, because I am not meant for that life.
Oh, I'm like for myself, I hope to end up in a place in a country. I love like our heritage and our culture here in Syria, but I hope to end up in a place where I can like get my work done like more peacefully, like being safe and experience new things in the future. Like I want to go to college and I want like to do something that will make our planet better. I was thinking about environmental sciences as maybe a minor in college because I want chemistry as my major. So I hope that I would be able to help our planet to avoid things like climate change, pollution, and other devastating things. And yeah,
yeah, those are great. Yeah.
this is it.
Okay, yeah, well, that's the conversation.
It was so nice to meet you, Aya.
It was nice meeting you too.